Hey y'all, so my name is Jen, and today I'm going to be talking and sharing about my experiences with sex trafficking for the first time with the public, and I'm also going to be talking about my childhood sexual abuse. And it's the only reason I'm sharing this stuff is because I'm trying to shed some light and bring some truth to what's really going on in our justice system. And I'm at a place in my life where I'm really standing on business, and I'm trying to make a difference in the world and trying to see change happen. I haven't shared my sex trafficking situation with a lot of people because my life has been in danger, and me sharing about this situation puts me in danger. And I have been like encouraged by other people to come forward, like victims of sex trafficking who have put their lives in danger, to like stand up and address certain things. And my biggest concern is our justice system and how evil it really is and how corrupt it is. And so many people put their trust in these judges and people in power, and really they're the ones putting us in danger. And I really want to emphasize that I have not shared this publicly. I've been working on my life story testimony for about a year and a half, and I finally completed it, and I'm in a space where I feel like I'm able to talk about it, but I please know that it comes with consequences. Hopefully not, but I think it's important that these things are talked about, and so people can see what's really going on. And yeah, and it's very personal, and it's not easy to come forward and share. So please be kind. If you have anything negative to say, I will literally block you right away, because I'm not just speaking for me, I'm speaking for all of the victims in the world who are too afraid to come forward, who can relate, who are in the same situation as me, and to hopefully inspire them to keep talking and keep shedding light on the situation. So I my experiences with my sex trafficking situation. I want to talk about the aftermath of what happened and how I literally got put into danger. It was very dangerous for me to come forward, and when I did, I'll talk about later what that looked like for me. But first I wanted to talk about my childhood. I was sexually abused as a child. I was molested. My grandma on my mother's side had a boyfriend. He was a registered sex offender. He was a pedophile. He had over 10 charges of childhood sexual abuse, or child sexual abuse for little boys and little girls. And he was in my life before I was born. My first memories are of him molesting me on a regular basis, weekly basis. And he would threaten me to keep me quiet. And he was not taken out of my life until I was 8. I'm assuming the abuse, from my understanding, went on from when I was a baby. So I have no idea. But when I was 8 years old, he had sexually abused my older cousins, and they were brave enough to come forward, and their bravery ended the years of abuse that I had endured. After they came forward, I shared with my school counselor what had happened to me, and he was a mandated reporter, so he had to report it. The state got involved. I was put into therapy right away. The therapy that I was put into worked with the courts, or worked with the offenders, and they worked with the courts. And so my counselor, she worked with the victims, and her husband worked with the offenders, the pedophiles. So I went to counseling, and then I eventually went to court. Charges were filed, and when I went to court, I was 8, and I had a female judge, and I went in front of her with my counselor and my family beside me, and this man he was on probation when I came forward. My 3 other cousins had come forward before that. and mine was just on a different time frame. And when I like came forward, the judge gave this man 30 days of jail and then an extra couple years of probation. And I remember like being a kid and looking at her and just being so disappointed, like, why are you not protecting me? He's going to just do this again. And that was like my biggest concern as a kid, was he's gonna offend somebody again, he's gonna hurt someone, and I didn't want anybody to go through what I had gone through. And I was so disappointed. I was so like, why he's done this before, he's on probation, and he just gets a slap on the wrist. So as an 8-year-old child, I remember feeling there was no point for me to speak up. I remember thinking that like I remember thinking to like kids, like, I'm so sorry I can't protect you, like I'm so sorry I can't. And I saw that man a year after I went to court, and I was with my dad and my stepmother at the time and my brother, and we were at the Shrine Circus, and he had a little boy sitting on his lap, and they took me out of there immediately. We left right away. And it was devastating, and I just remember thinking to myself, like, I'm sorry, little boy, that I can't save you. And yeah, so while I was in therapy, keep in mind, this counseling center, they worked with the courts, and they had this program where they have their victims, I was 8, write pedophiles in jail letters and share with them your story. And I remember they were able to write letters back, and I remember getting letters back, and my counselor would read them to me, and I was so uncomfortable, and I felt so unsafe, and I was just like, it was worse than like being abused than my abuser. And I think that's because like I knew who my abusers were, and I was getting letters from like random strangers that I didn't know. And like looking back now as an adult, I think about it and I'm like, what the actual fuck? Like that, excuse my French, like that's not normal. Like, why would you ever think of a program to have a sex offender, an abuser who's preying on little children? Why would you think it's okay to have that child write them letters? And like our justice system does so much for these sex offenders. We have men and women who are sitting in prison for selling marijuana, and they're in the public population, right? So anything can happen to them. But then we have sex offenders and pedophiles, and they get their own space. They get their own space because they're protected. Not only are they protected, they're like repeating abuse. Like, why would you ever have a child write them letters so they can get off in their jail cell, so you can get them off? And like that's what happened. Like that, y'all, like if you don't think that's sick, like I don't know what to tell you. This is how dark and twisted and designed the justice system is. It doesn't make sense to me. And people are just like, oh yeah, like everything's fine. No, it's not. It's gross, it's sick, it's evil, it's pure evil. So we're gonna fast forward in my life, because there's a bunch of stuff. Like I said, I wrote an entire book about the stuff that happened in my life. I made a lot of poor choices. I spiraled out of control. I did drugs. I tried to numb all of the other trauma that was going on in my life, plus that trauma. Like, it was a lot to take in. And so things weren't good. So, okay, when I was 25, I had left the father of my kids. I've been a single mom since I was 25. I'm 40 years old. And so I've been on my own for a long time as a single mom. Some of my friends were dancing, and I was in a situation where I was sexually assaulted, harassed, and then it turned into assault at my workplace. And I quit my job. I couldn't be there anymore. I was in counseling. This was all documented. I'm not like everything in my life is documented. And so there's paper trail from like the police or therapy or whatever. Okay, so I quit my job, and that job allowed me to take care of my children on my own and like financially. So when I quit, I needed to make money really quick, and a couple of my friends were dancers, so I hit them up, and I hit one of them up and just said, hey, I need to make some money, can you take me dancing with you? And it was like just a dumb story after that. I got addicted to like quick money, and it took me like a year to realize like the lifestyle of that came along with it. There's a lot of, I was a dancer off and on for 8 years in the entertainment business. It I didn't all for all the before like I go any further, I just want to say for all the people out there who are like, oh yeah, I just want to be a dancer, like it's so easy. It's not easy. It's a lifestyle. A lot of the women who are dancers, I didn't learn, are forced into it, are born into it. They're under control of a pimp, and there's much more that's going on behind the scenes than you would ever think, and that your heart could even fathom. And it takes a lot of bravery and courage to get on a stage and entertain a group of men with your body. And it's not as easy as you think, and it's not as pretty as you think. Um, Literally, a lot of these women, I have learned, like, their only way out is the witness protection program. So before you guys throw shade at them, like, I just want to let y'all know, like, these are some of the baddest women I've ever met in my life, and genuine women and real and raw women. And it's been an honor to get to know some of the women that I have in the 8 years that I was in that industry off and on. Not only that, but like, I still talk to some of these women today, and they're incredible women. They're so brave and so strong, and I have nothing but love for a lot of these women. Obviously, like, in the club, it's a different industry. Like, I'm a natural blonde. Like, I just became a brunette. So in the club, like, I was this cute little blonde girl, and I was showing up and stealing people's money, which is, we're talking about a lot of money. So girls don't like you, especially if you're pretty and go to your job. So I never got into like the prostitution side. I never had a pimp. I was just slowly like an independent dancer. And girls don't like you. It's a very cutthroat game. So you learn how to like defend yourself, take care of yourself. But like the girls that I danced with, like, who knew me because I had been in it for so long, like, they knew that like I wasn't into like other things, and I was never gonna have a pimp, and it's just whatever. It's just how it is. But you know, some people that I worked with died because of money. So that being said, there was a girl that I was dancing with for a long time, and we became friends, and we had a falling out over the years, and I got out of it. Like, I started a business for myself, and was in school, and would like pop in from time to time if I needed money, whatever. And so there was a girl, again, like I said, that I became friends with, and we had a falling out. I had brought her, introduced her to a club, and I was kind of like taking a back step in the scenes, and I had seen her 9 months prior to me being trafficked, and her and I got into it at the club I was going to visit. I wasn't dancing, I was just going to visit one of my girlfriends, and my boyfriend was there, so he witnessed us getting into a fight. We left, whatever. Some things happened, and I needed to go back. I needed to like work for a night. My boyfriend at the time, my ex-boyfriend now, was supposed to pick me up. My last text message to him was, baby, please make sure you pick me up. I had called in like a few days before to let them know, can you put me on the schedule? Can I work this day? And they did. I didn't know when I had stepped out of there that there was girls getting drugged, and then they were getting raped or sold in the VIP room. And so when I got there, I was drugged right away. I don't remember like the first 5 hours that I was there. And to make a long story short, this girl had my phone. She called my boyfriend and told him that I was really messed up, and that she was gonna be driving me home. She had my license, she had my wallet, she had everything. She already knew where I lived, but yeah, so he was under the influence, and he said okay. And like, if he wasn't under the influence, he would have known that like her and I had been in a fight, and I would never go home with her at all. And so it is what it is. I ended up getting brought across state lines with her. Like, it's very foggy. Like, I remember, like, at the end of the night leaving and coming to and walking out to her car, and I had this bottle that I was drinking out of, and she told me that, like, we had to go meet her boyfriend, and I ended up at a hotel across state lines again, and there was another person there, and with her pimp who was her boyfriend, and I was raped and I was sold. And when I left there, I remember when she walked me out to the car in the morning, like, my phone was ditched at a gas station, and my boyfriend had a GPS tracker on it, so he was able to see where it was, and he called them and asked if it was in a stall, and it was. And so when I was, like, walking out to the car in the morning, she was, like, almost like carrying me, like holding me up by the arm, and I remember she said, "Were you raped?" And I thought, my intuition told me if I tell her yes, that I'm gonna be dead. And so I just pretended like nothing happened, and then I was, like, brought to my house, and I like didn't want to admit what happened. Okay, but I did. I couldn't, like, keep it in. I broke down to my boyfriend and his friend the next day, and I reached out for help, and a friend of mine brought me to the hospital to have a rape kit done. And this person then had some ties, and she brought me to the BCA to meet with the commander-in-chief of human trafficking, and my rape kit test was presented to them. This man's DNA was in my fingernails because I was trying to escape, and I was fighting for my life. And I was able to positively ID these people, and the guy who, like, raped me had sent me, I didn't know who he was, I had never met him before, and he sent me a friend request on Instagram the day after, and so I was able to figure out who he was. I was told that these men were they had ties all over the country. One of them was being investigated for murdering a woman, and that they were, like, organized and they knew what they were doing, and this was happening to a lot of people. And I wanted to testify. I had no idea that the statistics were only 13% of people come forward, and only, or I think it's 10%, and then only 3% are actually tried. So I was, like, prepped on the witness protection program. My case was supposedly a slam dunk case. Like, I positively ID'd these people. My story collaborated with where all their phones were pinged. I positively ID'd all of them. They had me on camera at a gas station. So, like, everything was in my favor. So the last time I was trafficked in 2019, and the last time I met with the commander-in-chief at the BCA was November of 2018, and they asked if I still wanted to testify. I said yes. They said that they were going to start bringing them in for interrogation, and they would contact me if, like, they would contact me when that happened. So COVID happened and the government shut down, and in 2020 I lost my business, and then I got into healthcare, and I was working 100 hours a week, and I lost 7 friends in 2020, 7 friends in 7 weeks. There's 7 people I knew were friends, yeah, and 6 to suicide and 1 to COVID. So I had a lot going on, and I was unvaccinated, and my PTSD doctor could only do virtual sessions with me. And then in 2021, when the vaccines were, like, coming out and I was still unvaccinated, like my PTSD therapist would no longer see me in person, and I had to do virtual or like over the phone, like FaceTime with him. My family like disowned me because I was unvaccinated. I was catching heat at work because I was unvaccinated, and I was going through a lot internally. Like, I had just been sexually trafficked. What is going on with the world? Things that are being said like aren't true from what I'm seeing. I worked with the highest fatality rate, and what was being reported I wasn't seeing, and people were like reporting me for misinformation. And like, my family was, I didn't have any support. My family disowned me because of a vaccine status. Not even a year after, like, I was sexually trafficked. Like, I I went through so much in that period of time that I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking about it, but I wasn't like, oh, like, let's go, I'm ready. Like, I emotionally was not there. I was checked out. And then in 2021 I moved into a new place with my children, and when I went to apply for it, my landlord said that I was red flagged for a felony charge, and I was like, huh, what are you talking about? And she said it was in Scott County or Ramsey County. And so I called Ramsey County St. Paul courthouse, and they said I had no tickets or nothing, and they said, do you have a case with the BCA? And I said, oh shit. So I called them, and the BCA had to report to my landlord that I was a victim for being sexually trafficked in a sex trafficking case. But I was listed as the victim for me to go in there, but I wasn't notified of any of that. I had no idea. And so I've never heard from them since. And speaking up to them literally put me in danger. Like, I had no idea that they had notified these people. It's been 5 years since that happened, and this last Mother's Day of this year, I ran into the girl at a gas station, and I was terrified. Like, I literally have not really spoken my story, I think because of fear, and also because I did come forward and nothing was done to protect me. If anything, I was told that I was a direct target to be sexually trafficked again, and that, like, literally prepped on the witness protection program, y'all. Like, that's saying goodbye to my family. That's going into hiding for the rest of my life. That's how bad it was. And dealing with those emotions is, I couldn't comprehend what was going on. And then add COVID on top of that, and people hate me for standing my ground and standing on business for something I believed in. And it's okay, like, it's neither here nor there. But I really truly feel like so many victims come forward and then nothing is done. It's just like, oh. And then when you come forward, you literally put yourself in harm's way. Literally, like, these people will kill you to keep you silent. They do it on a regular basis. If y'all don't know this, the United States of America, like, people think it's so great, but it's actually full of a bunch of fucking sickos, man. Literally sickos. It's just evil. Like, the sex trafficking, like, it makes so much money. The United States has the most revenue for sex trafficking. Like, these are common facts. You can look them up. And people are talking, and then we're like being silenced or told that, like, I mean, no one's told me that I'm crazy. I come with receipts for everything in my life because it's so much. But like, so many other people don't want to believe that, like, all these people in power are evil. Like, how many people have to come forward and tell the same story of, like, we're being silenced or nothing's being done when we come forward? Do you know how hard it is to come forward? And not only just that, but then how do you pick up your life from there? Oh, you're just supposed to go to work, and then we're gonna make it so financially hard for you to survive that you can't deal with the trauma. So then you're triggered in all these different areas of your life, and you have no understanding until you actually sit down and heal. So that's why I'm speaking out, because I'm finally in a space where I've allowed myself time to heal and really, like, seek the Lord to be able to find healing and find strength and courage to talk about this now. And I'm like I said, I'm sharing this to hopefully I have a whole testimony ahead of me. These are just two situations in my life that I haven't like spoke on, but like if I can get through it, there's hope, and I found my hope in Jesus Christ, and that's for me personally. I'm not pushing my belief on anybody, but I'm saying that's how I got through it, and Jesus really met me where I was, and I had to go through a lot of healing of I'm not worthy, and I'm ugly, and I'm gross, and what's wrong with me. I had to replace those thoughts and fill them with I am loved, I am adored, I am cherished, I am not dirty, I was a victim and now I am a survivor. There's nothing wrong with me. I didn't deserve this. Like, I am so beautiful. That takes a lot of practice, and it takes a lot of intention to get your brain to go back from that. And I still have triggers. Like, I have PTSD. I got put on heavy duty narcotics, of Valium and Xanax. I was prescribed 30 milligrams a day of Valium and 3 milligrams a day of Xanax, and I was on it for almost 5 years, and like God took that from me and I surrendered it, and it's been 1.5 years since I've been off of it, praise the Lord. But that was the hardest addiction that I had to overcome, and God is still working on me, and I am not perfect, but I just want to say that there's hope, and I hope this sheds some light on people that, like, God forbid you have a daughter and something like this happens to her, and you go to the court system to like try to protect you and nothing is done. You go to authorities, you go to law enforcement, and nothing's done to protect you. Like, this is just one, I'm just one person, and this is happening all the time. It's happening right now. So really think about like what like, where does the change start? How do we be the change? For me, I'm literally putting my life on the line to share and speak about my experiences with the court system, and no justice actually being found. But don't get me started. I'm very passionate about this, but I just want to share my story, and I hope if it can help somebody to overcome or be inspired or encouraged to get help or reach out for help, because a lot of times I don't think people talk about that. People who are sexually trafficked or have sexual abuse or trauma like that in their life, like, they end up addicted, they end up in unhealthy relationships, they seek unhealthy people, and a lot of them commit suicide. Because our justice system has failed them. So, with that being said, this is my story, and if anyone has anything negative to say, I will literally block you immediately. There's so much more to my story, and I hope y'all stay tuned because I will be sharing more. There's a lot more to be discussed, even with the court system, and I pray this reaches the right audience, and I just want to say thank you to Allie Carter. I don't know if y'all know her, but she's been really speaking up and putting herself in harm's way to shed light. You really inspired me. Like I said, I've been working on my story for 1.5 years, and I've been really afraid to speak on my sex trafficking. I moved out of state, and when I did, it was very freeing. Like I said, again, speaking up puts me in danger, and that's what every single woman is doing, or child, or male, it's males too, who speaks up is doing. And I hope that people can just band together and come together and recognize this and figure out a change. I've got some things in place that I'm working on myself to try to be a part of the change in this specific area, and you will be hearing about that later. But again, thank you for listening if you made it this far. God bless y'all. You're not alone, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon.